Yo, 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 we are live at the launching pad. I have a good friend in the building. One thing I can say about her, she is a supporter and she is so passionate about the change of this city. Um, I met her at one of my rallies and she was there. She has been up and from when I started up until now heavily supporting the movement and the change and the reformation of Macon. Shekita, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Carl. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here for the culture, for the people, and to speak the truth and integrity and not hold anything back.
Got you. My people know how I like to start this off. Where are you from?
I am from Macon, Georgia.
Okay. Okay. Is that why you're so passionate about Macon?
I'm so passionate about Macon because my parents live here. My grandparents live here. Although my children were born in different parts of the country when I was in the Army, my oldest daughter has been here since she was 3 months because I bet on Macon. I bet on Macon to make us the best thing that we can be. I bet on Macon because even in the words you say it, I'm making it. It's nothing in Macon that you can't do. There's nothing in Macon that you can't strive for. So what other better place to be in is a place that you can make it.
Gotcha.
Macon,
Gotcha.
Macon, Georgia.
Let's talk about growing up in Macon. How was that?
Growing up in Macon was the best. I'm from West Side. I'm from Unionville, some parts of the city, Bird City, ethnic homes. I grew up with a humble beginning. My parents were teenage parents. My mom was 16. My dad was 18. But they never gave up on me. I think the best part of being in those humbling situations is that you have a different perspective of everything that opens your eyes. Some people want to change the world, but you never forget about the world that you have in your home. Sometimes kids in Macon grow up and they look at the world that they see, and that's that world that's in front of them. So how can we change it? My dad had an opportunity to go to play football at Fort Valley State. He was a good football player. They called him Gate because there was no one getting through him. But he would lock you out when he needed to. So he played defense. He held me in one hand and he held a football in the other hand. And my grandfather asked him, which one do you choose? Do you choose to go to Fort Valley or you choose to raise this baby? My dad is so smart and intelligent. He put the football and the baby next to each other. He said, I choose both. And that's what he did. So he eventually went to Fort Valley. He didn't finish, but he chose to say, "Hey, I'm gonna raise this baby. I'm gonna run this race because this is my responsibility." So I thank you, as being a black father, to understand that this is what unites Macon and makes us what we are. We're a community of systems.
Right.
And the system has to have an equal balance to it. So being a part of Macon and growing up in Macon and having this lived experience of Macon is what makes me great. It makes me relentless. It makes me more involved in what goes on because generations before me have thought it not robbery or sacrifice to make sure that I had everything that I could to make it in Macon because it's possible.
Um, so growing up in Macon and seeing what you see, how did you maneuver your way through?
So I went to Matilda Hartley. I'm an Anthony Road graduate. So I went to Matilda Hartley, Ballard Hudson, and Southeast High School. All of my schools are in the same street, Anthony Road. So when I was a little girl, I would go to Hartley Hill. Because you know when you was little, you played King of the Hill. So you have to wrestle people, go through them, or however it goes, to get on top of the hill.
Right.
Now sometimes you ain't always gonna be queen. Sometimes somebody gonna beat you on the top of the hill. But on the days that I was queen of the hill, I look over the West Kingdom and I say, hey, look how far I can go if my vision climbs me to different heights. But look at the people I can serve. Because when you on Hartley Hill as a kid, it looks like a mountain. Hartley Hill was Mount Everest for me because it was so much that I had to climb over and get to in my community just to see what happens. I would be on the baseball field at Macon Little League. I couldn't see nothing but one other field, but when I climbed Hartley Hill, I could see all the fields. And all the fields are all the playing stations that we'll go through in life, the different stages that we'll see. I saw it all at one time on Hartley Hill as a child. So we must nurture the dream early, even though we will have dreams later on that we'll put into ourselves. But these kids don't dream. They just think, what about the possibilities? And that's why I got into science, because science asks those questions. Who, what, when, how, where. So it's always been intriguing to me to look over the kingdom that we call Macon and see how I can make it better.
Wow.
She said kingdom.
I said the same thing. You know, I had did a press conference about 2 years ago speaking on violence, and that was my main thing in my speech. And I was like, we need to look at Macon as a whole, but from a doctor's approach.
Right.
Like how a doctor looks at a patient and actually looking at what's actually making these things wrong. What's making the community wrong? What are the primary causes? Is it poverty? Is it lack of education? What is it?
Violence is a disease. The ecological bias of violence is that it's an interrupter. It disturbs something that's going on that's normal. So a disease takes over systems and function, and it grows. First, it might be a wound that's superficial, but then it gets septic, and then it becomes systematic. So you got to look at violence as a disease. It's a ripping the course of goodness. So if we put goodness back in, whether it be an antibiotic, whether it be a bandage, or whether that be a stitch, you got to figure out how you're going to make violence curable. So that's what many motives are doing right now. Yes, we've been given the money. Yes, we're doing the work, but we got to get that buy-in. Because one thing about the body, it has feedback mechanism. So the feedback now is that, yeah, you're doing all this, but what are you doing? Is it enough? Is it enough for me?
Right.
Because how can you stick together a home that will have a child that they'll never see again? How can you stick together a home where you're going to have a parent that you'll never see again? So what do we come in?
Me, I think it's dealing with people like you, you know, as far as a bridge. And a lot of times you see people that want to help but are not really connected or not really have that strong care of concern. With you, you're not only from here, but you have that passion. You have that ambition to go out there and be the change, like how we first met. You get what I'm saying? You could have kept it us just responding on Facebook, but you actually showed up, made it your point. Hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. You get what I'm saying? And actually making the connection. I feel like the connection is the strongest. You get what I'm saying? Like when you go to the doctor and you know you just going for a checkup. Imagine if you don't have a conversation with the doctor. Like the doctor just comes in and put the stethoscope to you. He doesn't say hello, doesn't say nothing, not trying to make a genuine connection with you to show that he actually cares and have a concern for your well-being. I think a lot of times when it comes to the people that's causing reformation within the community, they forget about that part. They forget about the actual relationship with the people.
There are those who are in positions, and there are those who are passionate. A person with position will always seek authority and power. A person in passion will sit in the background and make everything work, give up everything for it, and sacrifice for it. That's the difference. So either you're going to be a person of position, or you're going to be a person of purpose. Because that's the only thing that's going to matter. At the end of the day, you can't take that position home with you. Only thing you're going to leave with people is how you make them feel. Whether it's going to be good, bad, otherwise, lackluster, whatever you're going to leave on them, it's going to be an imprint. So imprinting is so important. Imprint goodness, imprint kindness, imprint your time, because your money going to go away. So what do you have to do when those resources are gone? They're fleeting. They're leaving. Are you still going to be you? Because you have a purpose. You have a position. You have a passion. So I always put myself, I don't waste my time. Because time is so valuable.
So we have.
It's so valuable. And you got to give it, though. You got to share it. Like, I have a whole family that I can worry about. But they worry about me making sure that you get out there in the community. Even my daughter, she's 6 years old, she don't understand what goes on. But she understands that my mom got to go out there and help somebody. Outside her house. She sees that. So that makes me feel good. That makes me feel good. So it's not just for the feeling. It's because these little 3 black girls gonna look at me. Their mom and say, my mom goes out there and she cares about somebody other than us. Even though she loves us to death. She loves something more and more bigger. And it's that lived experience that we have. And I just, it just makes me so good to be a part of this Macon community. I don't think I can be born anywhere else, Carl. I can promise you that. It couldn't be in Atlanta. It couldn't have been Augusta. It couldn't have been Warner Robins. Macon is the heart of Georgia. Everything that comes through Macon streamlines across everywhere. So we gotta make Macon good. We gotta sew Macon up and make it whole again. But it's not just us. It's got to be everybody. So all the listening viewers, all the people who are gonna tag, put it on Facebook, however it goes, understand that you're a part of the solution. Don't keep thinking that you're a part of the problem. You're a part of the solution. The only way you're going to be part of the problem if you sit down and you do nothing. Because we need to heal the kingdom, which they call Macon.
Right. Let's talk about Royal Science. What motivated and what caused you to start Royal Science?
Royal Science came out of a true struggle. I was with a company for 15 years. And their intentions started out to be good. But, you know, relationships falter when they see the money. So once I made them so much money, I said, so what's next for the big project? Now that we have a bigger budget, how will we spend it for these kids to get more exposure to science, more exposure to math, more exposure to STEM and athletics? Their response to me was, I don't know. Now I can pay all the things that I wanted to pay. But every time that you invest in somebody's life, don't you pay it forward, Carl? So I just thought to myself, it's time for me to branch out because the vision is not the same anymore. The vision now is to make more money, but to make less impact. And my thing is going to always be to make more impact with whatever money that I have. So I'm going to do the best that I can. So when those two didn't align, I ain't selling out my integrity. So I had to make sure that I am still true to what I want to do. So Raw Sound was birthed out of basically a heartbreak. Because you never know how people are going to do, or they're going to change, or they're going to be with your team, or they just have you there to just keep them trucking along. Because the train of money is going to keep coming on. Because what I gave to those students every day in 30 different counties in Bibb County, and I was still in school. So I would come home every weekend, work that job to get the extra money because I got 3 miles to feed in college and go back to Tuskegee. So I was still making my point to go to whatever assignment I was assigned to and do the best I could for that community, for those kids, because I fed off that. And I had other obligations, but this is one thing I feed off, and it's going to feed me. So that's what I did. Because I wanted, someday I just knew if Sullivan could be what they are today, why couldn't Royal Science? And Royal Science came to name because I only teach royalty. I don't teach anything less. So no matter how you drop your student off with me and what you think of them, that kingdomship I see in them because I'm a coach. So I do the skills that they already have.
Right.
We don't have to make nothing else up. You take what the kid already has and you accentuate their skills and you elevate them. I'm like an elevator. So the science part came in because that's what I love. I always knew that I would be a scientist. At Southeast High School, we had a AP honors biology class. We only had one microscope. So I based my whole career off one microscope. You only got one mic, right? I only had one mic too. And that was that microscope. I would come in early, I would stay late just to see different slides and see this little tiny earth that we couldn't see. These little tiny atoms, these cells. I knew someday that would be me. Because my biggest inspiration and my mentor was George Washington Carver. And of course, Carver taught at the Tuskegee University. At that time was Tuskegee Institute.
Right.
He built on nothing and made 100+ patents on
Peanuts,
peanuts. Peanuts, yes, he did. And it has not been touched this day.
Right.
Nobody else had made patents like that. But also the sweet potato.
Mm.
So ag is your environment, right? You said you can never have something good if you ain't never seen it. So start planting these good seeds,
Right.
and we'll see it.
Right. So with Royal Science and everything that you've been doing, what are some of the things that you have been seeing? Because I know you've been interacting with the kids and how has that been?
It's been great. I've been seeing a lot of real life calls.
Right, that's what I wanted to really get into.
Okay,
the real
so
life.
my first event I did was picture making violence free. And I did that at the Lofty Studio and Photography. Shout out to them. And one of the questions we asked the kids, what would you like to see making when you grow up? I hold back my tears because one of the girls said, Miss Maxwell, will I grow up? So she can't even picture herself growing up because she don't know if she gonna grow up.
Right.
These are the things that I get out here every week and strive for every week, every Saturday. Because you don't know what these kids are going through. You don't know what they see and what you influence. They might be the only Jesus they see. So I have to be out here. I have to be grinding, and it has to be genuine. For a 8-year-old to tell me, Miss Maxwell, do you think I'm gonna grow up?
Right.
That's a lot for me.
Right.
That's kind of that's too much for an 8-year-old to ask me. I don't know if I'm gonna be something when I grow up because I don't know if I'm gonna grow up. We gotta change this violence. We gotta change these environments.
But you know what I love about that, Shekita, is I like the truth and the reality of it because sometimes we need to hear that in order to be motivated. Because a lot of us look at things from the top, right? And when we look at things from the top, we really can't really see. We only going off of what we think goes on at the bottom. We don't actually know until we come down and actually have these conversations and actually meeting people where they at is where we see what the real problems is.
It's just the simplicity of play. One of my students told me at the flag football we had there downtown at Central City Park. He said, Miss Maxwell, the day playing football was like Christmas to me. Christmas? Flag football at nighttime.
I remember that.
Being kids and just doing nothing. Something that we can do all the day in the hood and play.
No.
That baby said it felt like Christmas.
Shekita, this is one thing that I think
Christmas.
kids like us. I think in our era we had the freedom to be kids, right? Now kids are not really being kids. Being a kid is actually a privilege. I've noticed that when I was doing the camp with Fred and seeing the kids just being able to play, and I'd be like, wow, like you said, it'd be Christmas to them, and I'm like, so
what are you doing?
what is home like, or what is, you get what I'm saying? Like, what is that environment like, to the point where this is so amazing
It's
and
Well,
overwhelming.
well,
right.
even with the end of school bash, when you can't, we had over 100 kids out there, but no bouncing houses. The music wasn't up loud.
And it was
They was
free
just
play.
happy. They was just happy to get
Free
free
play.
hot dogs
Free play.
and the free play.
Free play.
And it was just like, are you serious?
Right, right.
I mean, having the best absolute time of their life with free play. So what has our world come to where kids don't have free play?
Yeah.
Free play comes at an expense.
Right.
Oh, okay. I just feel like it's accountability. Like we have these children, and and don't have resources for them, but yet we continue to keep creating them.
What?
We have to, we have to do something about that. I'm not saying don't have kids, but there are children, like you said. I feel like crying right now. I'm an empath. That bothers me. You know what I'm saying? To hear that
I was
children are
done.
excited about playing.
Right.
So you know what I'm saying? So it's like, what do you do about that? You know what I mean? But we keep having these children. We keep having them and
I was watching
and having them. And you know what I'm saying? So it's like we have to start holding ourselves accountable and take care of the babies we got and be more responsible.
with the black community. I feel we are being trained to survive instead of being taught how to live.
Right.
We forgot about the whole living aspect. We just surviving.
We ain't
And our
enjoying it.
kids are coming into the world into a situation of survival.
Our kids are constantly in fight or flight.
Right.
And they fight.
Survival.
They fight.
Dude.
Every time you turn around, the aggression goes up. There's no more laughter.
Or they never get a chance to relax.
Everything is a
Like,
we could go
outside.
Everything is a hostile environment.
Yeah,
Yes.
we like at the age we are, we were taught to be able to go outside right now with no phones, no computer, no nothing, and we can sit right outside in the shade and just enjoy the shade, enjoy the moment.
That's
They haven't been taught how to. I love looking at the shapes of the clouds.
Right.
I love
And
looking
where
at
they
when the
going?
sun sets.
Where they came from?
Yeah.
But
I just
that
asked that
we
question.
all at some point in time, you probably seen that from somebody else. You
Yeah.
probably seen that from somebody else.
Yeah.
But nowadays, it's not being seen. That's why I say the lifestyle is so important to be seen. Just that exposure, because if we only see as a child the day to day, the hustle and bustle that my parents have to go to, always working, always struggling, always doing this, quite naturally, I'm not going to be thinking about no fun.
Right.
I'm not going to be thinking about going outside to play if my mom is constantly work, or even if my let's just say my mother is not displaying the work, but she's always at work, and I see reality. I see that there's not that much food in the refrigerator. I see that it might be a week that we have to live off candles. It might be a week where we got to heat this water up, and we seeing those struggles. So as we grow up and as we get older, the
You're
play,
thinking about
the play and the freedom of it is just out of the window. You know, we constantly want to.
we're constantly making decisions
That's why I say
that
accountability.
feel critical.
Yes.
You know, instead of decisions where it's like the mindset. I had to get out of the critical decision making and be like, look, this is what I want to do. I just got to go make me some more money to make, so I won't have to cut decisions out of my lifestyle.
Right.
You know, we never get a chance to develop a lifestyle, if that makes sense. We always got to be like, I either got to do this or I got to do that. I can't do both.
I think
We never get a chance to do both.
I think our perspective on lifestyle is the issue. So everybody thinks you got to get money. You have to have this big house. You have to live in a $200,000 house. I
right.
need to live here and all this other stuff. And that's what you're hustling and striving to get this money to do.
And you
But
never
if
get there.
But if you lived off the land, if we were taught to grow our own food and to live off of less, like right now we're about to go through a recession. There's a lot of people that's going to be in a lot of trouble because you got these cars that you got to pay $200 for the insurance for. You got to pay a car note. You got to pay this because we feel like things makes us successful.
Right.
And that's not it. It's family. It's, you know what I'm saying, being able to actually take care of yourself. That's why you got people who have a lot of nothing but can still be happy because of their perspective, you know what I'm saying, on life.
It's the depth. The thing we playing in Macon right now is the depth of Chuck E. Cheese, where a kid can be a kid.
Indeed.
Yeah, that's why I want that Chuck E. Cheese. I've been talking to investors. I've been going over there. I've been praying on that Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, it
Because-
shut down after the pandemic.
It shut down even before then.
Right.
The people
Yeah,
were
it
taking
was
the
on
people were taking the money from it back then. They was robbing kids of an opportunity where a kid can be a kid. Well, at Royal Science, you'll have an opportunity to be an opportunist, and that's for everybody.
And if
For
you- if you-
kids,
if you
adults,
look at
it doesn't matter.
If you look at the community, where are the places for the kids? The skating rink is gone. Chuck E. Cheese is gone. They have urban air.
They have
but-
no arcade. I remember going to the mall just to
We're
play
going
arcade.
upstairs,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. If you take all these kids out of social events that makes them have a decorum of having a place of etiquette, how you think they're gonna act when they go somewhere? They're gonna be fighting. They're gonna be shooting. They're gonna be scrapping. Because guess what? They ain't been in crowded spaces. They don't think I own my own domain. So when somebody else intrudes on their domain, they don't know how to act. Because you ain't put them in places and people in spaces. You have not taught them. So when they get out of that environment, they 18 years old. They don't know how to act at no thirsty turtle. Because what we took out? We took out little socials. When we used to have fall dance and socials, that was what the structure was for. Exactly. Everything is a preparatory phase. And that's why I want that Chuck E. Cheese. It's a big enough space for Royal Sign to do what it needs to do. Because if it's a place where a kid can be a kid, what about a place for opportunities to meet the opportunists at any age? You can do that. Who can have a welcome center in the middle of the hood? Ain't now one of them around. You can't find one. And address that skating ring part. Wrote a proposal for honor roll.
Right.
Now it's different ways you can get on honor roll. That'd be A, B, or however it goes. But there's 4 ways to honor a kid, either by their grades, their behavior, or honorable mention, right? Because they're trying, they just ain't got there. But they put in the effort every day. So with honor roll, I will have a cohort of kids of 100. Those kids will be able to skate for the rest of their life for free there. But everybody else will have to pay. But that cohort will be your bridge and your guide to show that I gave 100% of what I had to this business so you can prosper. So a kid don't have to worry about how they gonna skate throughout their childhood, teenage years, adult years, or when they leave here. Their legacy of skating will be there because they made the honor roll. Honor roll.
With that being said, we're gonna go to a break and be right back.
Lois's Kids and Star Coalition Projects present monthly basketball camps. And they are now recruiting players. They will have food, entertainment, life skill workshops, and basketball fundamentals. Players of all skill levels, ages between 8 to 17, are welcome. Parent guardianship required to sign waiver for participation. Contact Leroy Gerald at 478-320-9554 or at the website loiskidsinc.org. LOISKIDSINC.org.
We're back from the break, and I want to talk about these opportunities. What opportunities do you see that Macon needs in order to move over this hump that we're in?
First of all, education now, education forever, education will be the key. Until we start educating our children, the adults, and anybody that comes to our pyramid of this kingdom of Macon will perish. Because even with your biblical, you got to study. Even with your academics, you got to study. With your athletics, you got to study. Because it's not about your raw and natural ability that makes you a good player. It's also your sports IQ. And that's what Royal Science does. I was an athlete scholar. And I know what it takes to do what's on the field and off the field. I know the etiquettes and behavior it takes to correspond with, hey, between this line is war. But when I get off this line, we back to friendship. But between this line is war. On this softball field, it's war. But when I get off this field, we still back friends. Because I know how to handle both sides.
Right.
So that's what I'm trying to do. So education now, education forever. The second thing that we got to have is food. We have a food desert. You took away the Kroger. You took away farmer market. When I was growing up, you can walk from Unionville through Bird City and you can have your job at the farmer market. Whether it be shelling peas, selling peaches, going up to the peach orchards, coming back, doing peanuts. You have no food readily available. And back then they had the book of food stamps. Now you got this card. But it don't make no sense to have the card and you ain't got the book because you ain't got the food. Like right now, milk is $5. That's ridiculous. Everybody need milk. Kids don't even have baby formula. So even if you birth the baby, how you gonna feed it? We're in Hunger Games without us even knowing. And the game is on us. Because the poor, middle class, and those who won't have or don't know how to have, they don't know how to gather. They don't know how to save. They don't know how to ration their meat out. I paid $20 for a pack of chicken legs. I got a family of 3. Well, we might eat 6 today. I don't know how to make soup. I don't know how to make stews. I don't know how to do stuff that makes it stretch. Because when this recession comes, I got to recession-proof myself. But I'm going to recession-proof myself all my life because that's how it's been. It's not always that I had money to do what I need to do. But I had the privilege to walk through the times to know that I got common sense. I know how to eat. I know how to make a sandwich. I know what a wish sandwich is too. I wish I had some meat, but I ain't got no peanut butter and some jelly. But that keeps me full. Because the things that we have to do, we have to make sacrifices for.
Right.
And that's what we're not ready to do. In an instant gratification, microwave world, Walmart world, we can get everything we want to. Amazon, 2 days, I can get it prime. But when are you going to start being a prime example for your household? How we going to save? How we have financial literacy? How we going to have grace? And how we going to pray? How we going to put those phones down and we're going to sit at the table with each other and have meager conversation? Those things are free. Common sense is free. Education, you ain't got to buy that. You got to live it. So it's at the expense of all of us to make sure that we have what we need, but we have to prepare now. We can't always be on the ready. I think somebody always says that I ain't got to get ready because I always stay on ready. Ready for what? I ain't on ready. I'm on prepared. I'll be prepared for whatever's coming next.
5 P's.
Yes.
Proper preparation prevents poor performance.
Always.
But nobody does that. After the pandemic should have been when we all started thinking like that. No one knew the pandemic was going to happen. Nobody knew that we was going to have to wear masks. We was going to be out of food and all that stuff. We was shortage of tissue. From that point on, that's how I've been moving.
And I got a problem with that too.
I move as if there's a next pandemic on the way. You know what I'm saying? I live a certain way. I'm trying to grow my own food. If I have to drink smoothies or do a fast or whatever, I'm willing to make the sacrifices that I need to so I can continue doing what I'm doing. We don't do that. Like, they just cut off our extra food stamps for that. I now have to live off of $70 worth of food stamps. That's how much they think I need to eat. And there's nothing I can do about that.
How do you measure that? That's always been my question. How do you measure what somebody needs? Even when
I have children.
you have people that get what's the checks you get every month or however you know that you live off of.
Is it 10?
Well, I
The
get
Social
disability.
Security checks and all of that stuff.
SSI and SSD.
It's like, how do you know the standards of how to live off of that minimum amount of money when the people that are making the decisions don't even live off that minimum amount of money?
On paper, I only have enough money to function. If I wasn't running a business and doing other things, I would not be able to function. That's how this.
I took advantage of that being an entrepreneur. I'm like,
well, I am too.
I showed them
I am
this
too.
is how much I'm making the
Section
money.
8, You know what I'm saying? So I don't pay full rent, I don't have to pay water, so because I don't have certain bills, I don't have a car. So I put that money into my business
Right.
instead of having to pay, for certain things. So I'm making it work for myself, but I have the mindset to do that.
Right.
We have to start thinking like that and stop thinking like, okay, we're getting free money. All them stimulus checks that we're giving out, no
Yeah,
one did right
inflation
by
now.
They
us.
getting that back,
We're
don't they?
inflation
And
now.
we're getting it back. And
Inflation now.
because we didn't, like you said, common sense ain't common no more. Because this country is a business. It's not a country. So there's no way businesses make money. They're not into giving out money. So they're taking their money back. This is why inflation is coming, gas is up, because they're taking back them stimulus checks.
Right.
But nobody was thinking that way. Everybody was just spending money and buying steaks and,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
And again, we're dealing with a group of people who are trying to survive. So when we get capital,
$1,400.
we're not thinking about, I need to
Saving.
make this investment, I need to double this, I need to do this. We're thinking about right now problems like, damn, I ain't paid the light bill. Damn, I gotta do this. My car note behind. Because we have so many problems.
Right.
And, let's just take Macon, right? And as far as investments and what we see within our community, it's the same. I'm gonna invest into this club. I got big ideas about a club. I'm gonna get a restaurant. I'm gonna do all of these things. That's the lifestyle. That's what we seeing everybody else doing. We're not looking at the actual, what do we really need?
Community
like you
investment.
said, food desert. We need grocery stores. We need
Community
cleaners.
investment. If you invest in, let me tell you something. When you invest in your community, you grow everybody there, and that's the things that we're not doing. So that's why we're gonna always be in the same pot, swinging back and forth like we're in a river of flood, and we're always flooding because we have so many fleeting powers. When you don't pour into your community where you live at and the things that you need, you're gonna always be in the desert. And that's why we have what we have. CVS closing. And go back to that tissue thing. Why do we don't have tissue when urban tissue is in my backyard? You get my tax cut, my tax dollars. So how I don't have tissue? When your company is here.
Right.
They're not open, they ain't Texas.
Right.
They're in Georgia.
Right.
So how we ain't have tissue? But off that subject, here we go. You got farmers here who sell their things at the markets. We gonna get them extra money so we can increase, buy Georgia, grow Georgia. You got different kind of farmers. Why we're not teaching these ag class to these kids? You say they ain't got nothing to do. You took all the activities from them. Let's get them pouring into their environment. When we start doing stuff in this community, we're gonna make waves of change, not sprinkles. Not like yesterday when it poured down rain and stopped.
I'm glad you said that like that, because a conversation me and Carl was having one day about music, right? Being it's some music I'm just not gonna play that they play now. But he made a point that said the way they listen to music now is different because it goes through an experience. What you probably have to do with showing them how to farm is making it into an experience that they can see themselves in the future doing. Because when they hear certain songs, now all of a sudden you want to become a rapper. You get what I mean? Just like with you, once you show them the beauty of science, they're gonna want to become a scientist. It's really that simple, but yet complex.
But
Well,
see,
you
you can't
have to-
blame the rappers because guess what? They putting out the image and the exposure. So you can't fault them for that. So how about we put out the image and exposure of an entrepreneur?
Right, that's what
How
I'm
about we
saying.
put an
Right.
opportunity out for a
That's what I'm saying.
podcast?
Like, how many kids
A radio
how
station
many-
owner.
How many kids are
Put it out
actually
there.
seeing?
These people and these
Farming.
things.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
Seen a horse. Remember we talked about that?
Yep.
I said, do you know how therapeutic a horse is?
Right.
To
Yeah.
ride it, to groom it, to feed it. I don't care.
It's better than a dog.
I don't care. Say never seen no horse.
Right.
You know that to myself, ride one. Come on now.
Right.
Just get them out there the
Same thing.
exposure.
Same thing with the black ballet. Remember, we always ask that question: how many of us would go to an all black ballet?
I'm not into that, but I would
Well,
go.
I would go
Just to
to
experience
it.
Just to experience it, and then now it's like,
That's-
So I would definitely.
That's
But that's
a
us.
large,
But see, that's
exactly.
us. How do you get them to want to do that? It
So-
starts with what they like, I think.
Yes,
If these
but see, that's
rappers would do it,
yeah, but we got to start with a sampling size. Come
Well-
remember when Hustle and Flow, she had to get a mixtape out, right?
Mhm.
So we the sampling size right now. So us in this room, the four of us, we start building these ideas. And we put it on the podcast. Then we get other people to buy into it. So we the sample size. So what they call a pilot. So we're gonna pilot for us to take off
Right.
Mm.
because they're gonna take off. It can't stay on the ground all
And
the time.
that's
A plane can't stand. A plane does
that's
no
my
good
thing.
stand on the ground.
that's my thing, right?
It goes nowhere.
As much as they promote, as much as they post, as much as I'm gonna be on the opposite end doing the same thing. You
Correct.
get what I'm saying? It's the
Consistency
same,
is
the
key.
same, the same amount of effort they put into the substance that they create.
You gotta put in that- you gotta put in that much
You
effort.
gotta.
Beat them in the head with it.
You gotta
Because
get
I
in
hear
there
so,
with it.
I like. You remember that meeting we was at, and they was like, "Well, we just need to tell them to put the guns down and do this." And I was like, "Okay, so what are we
What
gonna
you
tell
gonna
them?
replace that
What we
with?
gonna tell them to pick up?"
Exactly, and that's
If they don't
that's
have, if they
exactly
don't
what
have
I
nothing
say.
to pick up, the problem is still there because they're gonna find the next thing to do to be destructive.
Oh yeah, when they put down that gun, they're just gonna pick up a bigger one, and if
Exactly.
you don't replace it with something else.
Right.
So
A lot
now I
of
went
them
from
trying
the
to
Glock.
protect
Now I'm going to the AK.
And I think that's the problem. They haven't figured out how to be destructive. Like when I was growing up, I can't lie. I played with fire. I played with killing bugs and
But what's
being
the,
destructive.
What's the,
But it wasn't being destructive to the point where I was
what's the opposite?
destroying
What's the opposite of destruction?
building.
Right. So instead of
We also
constantly-
did that
and
too,
constantly for them to constantly be seeing destruction, guess what we gotta do? We gotta be showing them something that we're building.
Constantly building.
Right.
Consistency. So with our platforms, like I post every day. I post at least 3 times a day. I'm a part of about 100 groups on Facebook for each one of my niches, and I share it to all of them. Even though Facebook be trying to block me, I still do it anyway. Once I get the money to pay them to do it, then I will. But you gotta be consistent. They need to always see it. They
Right.
need to always see
Right.
you doing it. And that's honestly that's the only way to get their attention. And, the
And-
kids you
and-
do know, talk
And
to them.
another thing is they have to see it not always individually, but they have to start seeing it collectively. So if we all on the same frequency, let's click up. Let's do something together. Let's be seen together. Let's show how. Because like I was telling Derek, right? So I'm not a club person, but I like to go out. I like to be social. I like to have. But where's the environment for us to do that in? We get forced to go into a club.
Vibes and Brookhavens. Those two. There's a brunch spot and an after hour spot that's for the grown
Yeah,
men.
but just like the Society Garden on the English side, I want to make Oasis in the Ville. We can do the same thing.
We
You
actually
ain't
got one.
You ain't got it. You ain't got it.
It's-
We do. But
It's
hey,
called
look,
Six Hill and Grill.
'Cause I've been to
Right.
Society Garden a few times, but
yeah, I like
Yeah,
Society
that's-
Garden.
that's
But I'm just
not
saying.
ours.
But I like
Here's
this.
the
But
thing,
I like
here's
the
the thing,
serene. I like
here's
the.
the
I like the
thing.
atmosphere at
And I'm
Society
glad y'all
Garden.
said Society Garden because it's in a neighborhood that I say, as a community, we need to take notes
Yes.
from the whole Ingleside movement.
Yes.
Mhm.
That whole strip, Ingleside, that's a neighborhood that came together, associated themselves, and said, hey, we want to make this a district for our community.
Community is the key.
they work
We could
together.
all, Unionville could be like that, Pleasant Hill could be
Oasis
like
in the
that.
Ville.
But it takes these different groups and these different people to, hey, we're gonna do this.
We don't see the value in each other, like I had said earlier. We don't see value in one another. And once we find that value, because they people found value. You got a business, I got a business, it's gonna work for us. We value that.
I-
We don't value, we kill each other.
I
We
would
don't
go
value
even
our
further than
lives.
that.
I
I
would
would say
say
they
they-
created the value. Not necessarily they seen it, but they created the
They seen the
value
they
No,
for
seen
they
themselves.
see the value in the community.
Yeah.
They've seen the purpose of the preservation of their community.
That too.
Yeah.
In order for it to stand the test of time, in order for it not to be messed with, in order for them to keep us out, that's what they did. You get what I'm
That's
saying?
what
they did.
And we're going up against the same things. In a minute, Pleasant Hill gonna be gone. I don't know if y'all see what's going on over there, but in a minute it's gonna be gone. How can we preserve it?
Serve it. It's
How
served.
can we make it productive? How can we build right here? How can we do that? We have to associate.
Nah,
We have
I've
to.
never been there, but isn't that what they did to Tender Heights? They're
Yeah.
they're gentrifying.
Yeah.
They're
And Tender
gentrifying
Heights-
everything.
We just learned that with Newton Collier. Tender Heights was one of the first projects in the United States, period.
Right.
It was like what, the second, third, fourth one like that?
But then Mercer
So,
said, we want these college students in here, and we want people to be, so they.
and
clear
majority
that out.
of Macon is ran by
And Fort
Mercer.
Hill's
I hate to
next.
say, but well,
Fort Hill, they're
All
coming
of
to Fort Hill.
Fort Hawkins is the birthplace of Macon, Georgia.
yeah.
So, and it sits on a hill. Most of all the things that have been done in Macon that gonna be significant is gonna be on hills.
I
So
live
we
in
gotta
Mountain
start.
Hills.
So
Is that why they call? Is that why they named that?
Listen
I
to
never
it.
looked at it like that. I never looked at it
Fort
like that.
Hawkins,
Mhm.
Pleasant Hill, Coleman Hill,
Right.
Hartland Hill, everything that's gonna be significant gonna come out the hill. So why you think Martin Luther King said, I look towards the hill? Or the Bible says, I look toward the hill from where my help come from.
Mm.
Because on the hill, you can look in the valley. And you can pull
And
people
Macon
out of
is
the
sitting
valley,
in the
or
valley.
you can keep them there. Let them flood or let them rise. You're going to build them a boat, or what you're going to do. Everything happens on the hill, Capitol Hill.
But they gotta, but that's why we
Mm.
gotta care about. I live in Highland Hills. They turned it to Great Park now. When I first moved out there, they've changed management at least 6 or 7 times within the last 2 years.
Yeah.
From my understanding, it used to be called Knob Hills.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
used to be called
Sure
Knob
was.
Hills.
Hill.
Knob Hill.
And it's been there for at least the 60s. They have not changed the windows. They have not changed the doors, the plumbing, or none of that. We still have single paned windows.
Yeah.
And from my understanding, those haven't been standard in the past 40 years.
Mhm.
So what they're doing is they're just taking the yearly profit and then selling it to the next person so they don't have to be responsible
Yeah.
for fixing it. So me, coming from where I'm from, even living in the projects, I was used to a certain way of life. There's certain things I didn't have to worry about when I lived in Lefrak. Every 2 years, they changed the windows. They did some type of maintenance on the building. This is their property, so they knew they had to keep it up.
And it should be standard.
They don't do that out here. I was wanting to start like a petition. I wanted to go to the neighbors,
I'ma
and
tell you
somebody
why.
told me not to do it.
Who's arguing for that in those places?
It was only me, and that's why I didn't go through it.
Because you
it's
can walk in
only
the
me.
room.
See,
You
New
can
York-
walk in the
New
room
York,
by
if
yourself.
in New York, if you have a complaint, who you going to? New York City Housing Authority, right?
Yep. And we also
Georgia-
had an association, Lefrak City Association. We
That's-
had our own
that's-
So
association.
Macon
what I'm
Village
saying.
County,
The-
Macon Housing Authority is a private entity.
I was just
They,
gonna say
they don't
that.
even,
Right.
they don't go by
I was just
nobody
gonna
else's
say that.
rules.
No, they don't.
You know they kicked me out of
I
home.
have Section 8, and the
But guess-
requirements is just for the window to
The
be
minimum.
the minimum requirements.
Minimum
They
requirement.
cannot change nothing in there because they are qualified on Section 8.
Which
So
goes
that's why I
back to
gotta
the
deal with what I gotta
education
deal with.
thing. It ties into the education thing. If all I need is a seat to provide you Section 8, think about what they're doing with the education. All I need is a seat to pass.
No,
I can
It's
talk
the
about-
same.
I can talk about
It's
that
a
too.
setup
my
mindset.
thing with
Y'all
my
grade
thing,
levels is like y'all are 3
A minimum?
grades below
my thing with Macon
New
is
York.
my thing with Macon is like how you saying about with the
Housing.
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 Why are we not forming our own associations? Like we have the power to do that.
Because I try, and again, I'm not from here. I've lived here for I've lived here for 18 years, but I'm not from here.
We've
So
never
again,
been taught.
I wanted to do that.
Right.
And I asked a few people that I knew, and they told me not to. They
Right.
said, don't mess yourself up because these people don't care.
Mhm.
If I'm the only person, Highland Hills is a big place. If I'm the only person talking, I seem like the problem. And that'll mess me up.
You're the
Unless-
fallen
But
tree.
guess what?
You're the fallen tree in the forest.
Yeah.
And
I
I've
hear-
been
I hear
there.
that.
And
I
I've
hear-
been
I hear-
there.
We've all been
I
there.
hear
We all
that.
been there.
I hear that. Ain't
With a
nobody
fallen
gonna
tree
go
in
for
the
it.
forest.
They don't care. But guess what?
They ain't
On
gonna
the
mess
other-
their stuff up.
On the other side of the coin,
They're not.
on the other side of the coin, when you actually go out there to the community, you actually knock on these doors. Those people
They
want
had the
that.
same. They had the same sentiment you
Those-
have, but they're not willing to go
They're
forth
not
with
willing
it.
to
Go forth
Right,
with
I
it.
agree.
So it's just
I
like
agree.
you. So just like you,
I
you're
agree.
not with it.
And that's
But-
what, and that's
But
where
if
I'm at.
if you're the person that's gonna
Initiated.
initiate it, guess what? When you circle back around and come to the community, they'll join because
Well-
you the person that's
Well, this is why
You
I'm
actually
Right.
stuck
So
to
you
the
had,
script.
you had the courage to do it.
Well,
Yeah.
here's the thing. This is why I'm building what I'm building, so I can put myself in the business. Because I live off Section 8. I can't lose my Section 8. I can't lose that. So I want to build my business and put myself in a position where I can do that.
But people don't understand I was on Section 8. Don't get it wrong. I was on Section 8 for a few years before I finally
That ain't a
moved.
bad thing.
But watch this. People don't use Section 8 for what it's worth. Section 8, if you got a mind to want to build off of that, you should. Like they say, don't sell the food stamps. Okay, I'll sell the food that the stamps bought. That's making you some money. And it's not illegal to sell food.
But it's not even with that. It's about the conditions of our community.
Right.
We don't put in, you know what I'm
They
saying, our
sell.
value to that. And that's the point I was making about where I'm living. It's predominantly black people who live in my community, but they don't care enough to come with me so we can fix that, so we can actually have our windows. I've had to finagle.
Well, like I told Derek, Macon is at a point right now to the point where it's like,
I need to change.
nah, it's in a state where it's like,
How?
why even go that way? If we don't talk about it, and we tried it, and
It didn't work.
nothing came from it, or even the people that said they was gonna make the change, they ain't make the change. We at the point right now where it's like,
It's like not what
And I'm gonna tell you,
why even put up the effort to do it?
and I want
We
to say
can't
that
give up, though.
because
give up though.
DJing for the Flames showed me the culture of the city. Because Warner Robins, we all know they breed football. Them boys play football from 3-year-olds on up. So they came to Macon wanting to whoop our ass. Macon just happened to be playing. And that's the mindset of the Section 8 and all of that. They just happen to have somewhere to stay. And that's as far as they go. They don't go no further than that. It ain't like, okay, I'm here for now, but where can I go? They just like, I'm here. And they stop.
And that's the
And-
sad
and-
part.
And people like us, we don't get stuck.
We okay with.
It's not a road in Section 8. It's
Right, it's nothing wrong,
Community.
but don't let that be the end of the
because
road.
I'm gonna ride my Section 8 out till the wheels fall off.
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
unless something better comes about.
Well, no, that's why I'm building my business.
Right.
Because then I'm going to be able to pay myself, and I'm going to eventually get off of it. 'Cause
Right.
I can do a lot. I was doing a lot better before I lost my arm.
Yeah.
But I am using it. I'm not going to knock it because I'm using it for what I need to. But it's not even about me being on Section 8.
No.
It's just about your community and how it's run. Like even during
I
the
think
pandemic.
I think the community forgot how powerful the community is.
Yeah,
because
we
are
the people. We
haven't-
are the
we haven't-
community.
We haven't seen in our time the power of our community. Like our generation, we didn't go through no boycotts. We didn't go through no little spring when George Floyd happened. We might have seen a little bit of it, but we never really seen the power of our community.
But the Constitution,
see-
first three words
I
of we the
can't-
people.
I can't
So
say
how
that.
we don't do
Growing
anything?
up in New York,
Right.
I can't say that. Growing up in New York, no, I was very much into stuff like that. I remember when on 9/11 happened, I was in school.
Yeah,
We
you-
marched
Yes.
on Brooklyn. We marched on Brooklyn Bridge.
I'm talking
and
about.
walked off
I'm not.
Macon.
Right. I'm speaking about Macon. I'm speaking about here in New York. It's just different. It's the unity is there. Even when it comes to the whole neighborhood, like Left Rack. I grew up East Elmhurst, and you could just see
We all still rock, and we all still rock with each other.
everybody
Still-
knows the camaraderie of Left
We do.
Rack, and if you speak about Left Rack, you talk about East Elmhurst, you know the camaraderie East Elmhurst has. It's just that's what it's known for. But when you talk about Macon.
We don't
It's
know.
terrible. Macon is terrible.
And see,
Before
and see
I
the thing,
even-
and
before I
see the
even-
thing about the New Yorkers, y'all gotta understand, y'all mostly was freemen. We still have a slave mentality.
Indeed.
You're
Just think about it. Think about it now.
I can
don't.
dig it.
I
you're
love Macon, where
1,000% right.
I'm
You're
born
1,000%
from.
right.
When you are freeman, you have a different
That's a
mindset
fact.
than the
Yeah.
person of a slave.
You're
Because
right.
a slave don't let it happen.
Right.
Because master said so. Or this is the way you go.
Right.
Or you don't challenge the status quo.
She's
You
right.
don't do that.
And see people like us,
So
we
that's
challenge you.
exactly
Right.
because guess what? My mama, I'm a half New Yorker because my grandfather is from New York. My grandma is from Macon, Georgia. Well, she actually from Smithville. She moved here, so she met that Marine that came from New York, and he was like, I don't stand for this craziness. I don't know what this kind of foolishness y'all got going on. So either I'm gonna take my grandbaby, which is me, with me back to New York, or you're gonna find a better way to raise her in Macon, Georgia. Figure it out.
That's a fact.
You see what I'm saying?
Wow.
Because he's a freeman.
Mhm.
So
My
Freeman
grandparents grew
thinks
up here.
different.
My grandparents grew up here and they moved to New York to raise their kids, so that's why I was born in New York. So if you know what I mean, Houston's, the Bonds, those are my peoples. They from
Right.
Springs County.
Okay.
So you guys is a great community. Everybody knows everybody. I've been here 18 years. I'm still an outsider, but I still know everybody's business. You know what I'm saying? This is a small town. So
Yeah.
if we would take that on a positive note, it would be a whole lot better. Like I had great ideas. Like this recession shouldn't even be a problem. If I say take Holland Hills, if everybody in my neighborhood bought a bulk of one thing that everybody needed and we all shared, there wouldn't be a shortage of anything.
Right.
If every community did that, we all,
That's
every
the village.
that'll
That's
take
the
away
village
crime,
concept.
Let me
that'll
ask
take
you
away
this.
crime,
That's the
nobody will
village
be robbed
concept.
because
Let me ask you this. Let's make it even simpler than that. Without putting anything into the how many people do you say hello to in your neighborhood?
everybody in
How
my
many people
building,
say hello to you?
everybody says hello to me.
That's quite rare. Cause like
Me too.
But
Right.
I put out that
Everybody
energy.
don't
Now
have
I put out that energy, and
Right.
it's funny when I first moved out here. You know, being down south was supposed to be the happy place because us New Yorkers we're mean and
Right,
standoffish. I remember the first time I moved here, I went to the gas station up the block. Some random dude just put his arm around me. What's up, girl? How you doing? And I was just looking at him like, if I was anybody else, you'd have got punched in your face.
Right.
So I came down here with that, looking for them smiles right there. You know what I'm saying? But then, you know, when you start thinking about your problems and all of that, we folks got attitudes out here too. It ain't so much Southern hospitality, and that's because we're going through so much, and we're not helping each other. Everybody's just in their own space. I need to think about me and me, not understanding.
Joy,
we all-
joy and pain, both of them, even though you suffer them, they're both decisions.
Yes, they are.
And we got to start making those decisions that I'm gonna be
You better
happy
tell. You better
in the
tell.
pursuit of
That's a
happiness.
fact.
And that's what I'm gonna show these kids. Like in 2 weeks, I got the big screen, and we're gonna go Tech Square Park because they don't understand what the pursuit of happiness is.
Oh, you
But
gonna
you
watch?
gotta-
You gonna show that movie?
I am.
Oh,
Man, that's my
They gotta,
favorite
they
movie
gotta
That's
have
of
the
all
love of the
time.
land.
That
You gotta
is a
learn how
great
to,
movie.
even when
Go
you're,
through it.
when you're crying, you still got to dig for
That
it.
is
When
a
you
great-
lose your shoe, you still got to go back up in the office.
Yeah.
That and that Serena
That's
movie.
one of my favorite movies of all
King
time.
King
Richard.
Richard.
Those two are major. You can't have
They can
no
talk about
excuse.
Will, and we're gonna talk about the slap,
Yeah.
but we're gonna talk about how he
Yeah.
put it together.
You can after watching that, there's no excuses.
Before we get out of here, Shekita, is there anything you want to tell the people?
Hold on before you do that. Now go.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, for this time, space, and a platform. What I want to tell us fellow Macon Knights is that I bet on us. I bet on us to be better. I bet on us to do better. I bet on us to put everything behind us and move forward. I bet on us to love each other. I bet on us to pray for each other. I bet on us to educate each other. I bet on us. Because one thing about Macon, we're going to make it. We're resilient. We grew up fighting. We ain't going to never cop out. And we don't need to because we have each other. I bet on us because we can change our situation if we want to. But I bet on us that we'll do it. And the only reason why I can bet on us is because I don't seen it for myself. The change didn't start with Royal Science. The change started with me because I bet on me. I bet on me because when I was at juvenile hall, when they was going to try to send me to detention center, one person stood up and she said, I bet on her because she's all A's. She didn't know that my parents were about to break up or they're going to mess up my family. She bet on me because she looked at my spirit. I bet on you because I know you. You have formed and made me. So if I bet on me, it's because I bet on you. I bet on you to be better. I bet on you to train better. I bet on you to be free. Liberate yourself from all this animosity and all this anxieties and fears that we got bottled up. I bet on you to be better. I bet on you, Macon. Thank you.
And where can we connect with Royal Science at? Where can we get connected with Royal Science at?
Royal Science, you can follow me on Facebook, and you can call my phone number at 478-320-9999. 9430.
Man, I'm going to just leave y'all with that. I ain't got nothing else to say. Peace.
God and Light Healthcare Services offers comprehensive mental health, substance abuse, and other behavior and mental health conditions, bringing hope, help, and healing, improving the people of Central Georgia a renewed quality of life. God and Light Healthcare Services, located in Warner Robins, call the office at 478-449-8800 to schedule your virtual appointment, in which due to COVID they are now offering free COVID-19 testing, or on the website at www.glhcs.com. God and Light Healthcare Services, where we focus on the client, not the profit.